So welcome everyone on the behalf of the European Union of Yoga. I'm here to present you the speaker and also to talk a little bit of our organization. European Union of Yoga is an organization composed by 22 federations and more than 1,000 of schools. There are more than 100 schools recognized by our organization. There are more than 20,000 members and more than 10,000 are teachers. So the European Union of Yoga is a very important organization on the recognition of schools and teachers. Today we have François Lorin with us for this session. François is a facilitator of personal development and transpersonal approach courses. He's a speaker, a translator, and a writer. He is teaching yoga since the late 60s and is also a yoga teacher trainer. So we have all a very good session. Thank you, François, to be with us.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I am glad to be with you this evening. I hope you will forgive my poor English because I am a French speaker by birth. I will try my best. First thing, I was surprised when originally Joy asked me whether I would be prepared to continue to speak about spirituality. I was very surprised when I learned it was a social responsibility and yoga. Of course, it is linked, but and indirectly. So I want to start with the text I wrote. I suppose you are aware of it, or maybe not, I don't know, but I will start with it because this is what came into my mind when I first received the topic. The title is Yoga is Not an Ivory Tower. When I started in the 60s to practice yoga, it was considered as a very exotic activity and for a few only, and kind of nombrilist. I don't know if this word exists in English, looking into one's navel, not looking at the external world, not sharing the problems of the rest of humanity, but trying to find one's own salvation through yoga. And therefore it was criticized. I don't know today if it is still the case, but today in France, the image of yoga is mostly of a discipline improving health, physical, mental performance, or both. Well, it's true that yoga improves our health, it improves our capacity, both bodily and mental, psychic. But I don't think that is the main outcome of the practice of yoga. I write, can we pretend to cut ourselves off from others and from events in the world today where conflicts arise everywhere and where the planet revolts against what the human species is doing to it? When I met people like last weekend, I was in Brittany, the weekend before I was in Brussels. I met people who are interested in yoga and they tell me, I don't listen anymore to the news, I don't watch TV because it is so despairing. The state of affairs of the world, the wars and so on. I think it's a kind of duty for each one of us to be informed and to watch what is happening in the world, even if we cannot have complete faith in the means of information because they are thwarted. But if we take care to watch through different channels from different countries, then we can have a more precise idea about what is happening in the world. As a yoga practitioner and yoga teacher, I think it is very important to take our share of that we learn about what is happening in the world. I was telling Joanna just before we started that it's a very interesting fact that in the ethic chart, the deontology chart of European Yoga Union, as well as with the federation to which I belong, it is said that a yoga teacher should not speak about politics with his students. Politics means the life of the city. And therefore, I think it is fundamental to share one's views in an open way about what is happening in the world. Otherwise, the yoga teacher is like a zombie compared to the students who come to him or her. Daily life problematics include the question of social responsibility and politics. I write then a few questions. Is it a question for the yoga followers to create groups all over the world to act and share the holistic vision that comes to us from the wise men of the past? The European Yoga Union is an organization, an association, and we have Zinal encounter each year. We share our views on yoga, we share practices, we share the study of text. Last summer, we had roundtables, but very little is discussed about the state of the world and the state of humanity. And I think this is a missing point. We should take some time, and that's why finally I'm glad that this team has been selected to ponder over the situation of humankind and see if yoga can really bring something or not to human beings. But when we create an organization, this organization, as Joanna said, becomes more powerful. Like she said, we have 21 federations, and I don't remember how many people and so on. And I was taken aback, a little surprised by the fact that when we were in Sicilia, I was one of the members of the EUI to go to Sicilia to represent the European Yoga Union there for an encounter. There were a lot of discussions about Yoga Alliance and how bad Yoga Alliance was and so on compared to us, because we have 4 years minimum and 500 hours minimum training, and they train yoga teachers in much shorter time with less seriousness, maybe. So the moment an organization is created, it creates conflict with other organizations, comparison and critics, and not an open heart and an open mind to welcome the difference, because after all, whether yoga is spread with very serious criterion or with less serious criterion, it will do its work with people, because people, they don't need so much training. What they need is their own practice. With their own practice, they will grow. Each human being will grow, hopefully. So I am not confident on the value of organization to change human society. Because organizations, each of them with their own point of view, start fighting. So for the first time since 50 years in France, though, there has been an agreement with about more than 12 federations that so far didn't talk to each other, were very critical one upon one with regard to the other. They have started working together because there is an urgency to act in France to obtain a statute for the yoga teachers, which in my opinion is a mistake. But the young yoga teachers think it is very important for their future. Since I am teaching, I started training teachers in 1968. The federations at that time and the yoga teachers, some of them very well known, like André Van Lisbeth, Eva Rushpaul, Babacar Khan, and so on, they were all in agreement with the idea that it was better not to be recognized by the state. But the moment you are recognized by the state, you are not free anymore. You depend on laws and regulations on which you have no control. And therefore, the freedom that is needed to teach yoga is lost. So today in France, there is a great chance that some recognition will be acquired. And for me, it's not a good news. If needed, when you ask questions, because we forgot to say that after a while, I suggest that you come and ask questions. So please write them down if there are some that comes during the talk. The next thing I wrote is it a question of each of us acting like a hummingbird, each raising one of the grains of dust that prevents humanity from changing and stopping its destructive madness? By that, I mean, as a yoga teacher, as a teacher trainer, can I, as far as social responsibility is concerned, should I be satisfied with the fact that I share my understanding and my love and my knowledge with individuals, hoping that this will help them to change? But this change is a very, very, very slow process. And now we are so many human beings on the planet that the disparity between the few people, even if they are more numerous today, that started practice yoga and the mass of people that live with different standards and different understanding that the one that yoga gives us and different sensibilities, looks to me very hopeless. Or should we spread the teachings in the hope that they will touch enough open minds so that through the snowball effect, as many people as possible will be transformed? Yes, that I believe is possible. This is what the ancient yogis have always said. Yoga spreads from one person to the next. And by the way, why these federations suddenly have decided to work together to get recognition for the government? Because some private teachers that have open studios and have received very short training classes themselves have been put into difficulties during the COVID. And they started calling the government to say that yoga was a value for health and that yoga should be recognized. When the federations learned that, knowing the very little knowledge of these people, they started thinking we have to act. But this action, as I said, I feel is not the best for yoga. However, as I said earlier, as a yoga teacher, even if we know very little, if we help somebody to start its practice and its self-understanding through yoga, it spreads around that person. So it will affect the social life, but in a very, very slow manner too. So I have no suggestion that seems to me valid about the state of affairs of humanity, but some of the things I would like to share with you, I will do from an aspect of the teaching of yoga, which is in the sixth adhyaya, the sixth lesson of the Bhagavad Gita, called Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation. And it is in the shloka 29. I say the Sanskrit word and then give the translation in English. Ikshate, the one who sees, Atmanam, that the self, Stam, is stable or is present or is established, Sarva Bhuta, in all beings. And that all beings, Sarva Bhutani, Atmani, are established in the self. That one was self is established in yoga, is unified through yoga, rather, yoga yukta atma, and who has the same glance on everything, has the same, in French we say regard, in the same look, on the same way of looking on everything. So the idea is that we have to come to the point when the differences, which are of the body, of the mind, of the intellect, of the sensitivity also, the differences are less important than the recognition that it is the same reality that inhabits each one of us. That is, to me, it seems the only possibility for humankind to change significantly with regard to the way we function, even yoga practitioners, yoga teachers, and so on, nowadays. We may have a goodwill good intentions, good training, even good understanding about life and ourselves. But unless we delve deeply enough to discover what is self, who we are really, which is the purpose of yoga according to Bhagavad Gita, but also Yoga Sutra, and see also that our inner nature and the inner nature of the person next to us is exactly the same. That means when, for instance, Christ said, love your neighbor as yourself, what does it mean? It means that there is no difference between your neighbor and yourself. It is the same entity, the same reality, rather. Although the clothing is different, the external appearance is different, the capacities are different, but fundamentally it is the same being, the same self that is within each human being, each animal, each plant, each anything that exists. Buddha in Sanskrit means that which has manifested itself. So everything that manifests itself in the universe is made of the same self. This sounds strange, maybe for you, or it did sound strange for me, but the question comes to reflect on the difference between the materialistic paradigm and the paradigm that has been the one of the East and Far East. The materialistic paradigm, as you know, is that through a very mysterious process, life has begun from matter, organic probably, but matter, which became life, living, and growing through the process of evolution. This life has become more and more conscious of itself, with the apex being the human being. And consciousness is therefore the result of this evolution. This is the materialistic and more or less scientific paradigm, although more and more scientists are putting this into question. The point of view of the East is that consciousness is first, and consciousness creates denser and denser form until what we see as the world and reality and matter appears. So consciousness is first, and matter is the outcome of the creativity of consciousness. If we accept this as a hypothesis, instead of relying only on the paradigm of materialism, then we can understand that everything, including the screen of your ordinateur, my God, my English word is missing, even your screen, simply,
computer, I think.
yes, is made of consciousness, is not different from what is the inner aspect of yourself and of myself. That means I am an appearance in consciousness. You are an appearance in consciousness. The screen is an appearance in consciousness, in the same way as our faces are appearances on this screen. And then how could you hurt or damage anybody or anything? If this realization does not come to us, we can have good intentions. We don't want to hurt others. We want to love others. But if we have not realized the unity of all beings and all things, situations will come in which our goodwill and desire to be good to everyone will fail. Because the characteristic, and this is again according to the Yoga Sutra, for instance, the characteristic of our body-mind is such that because of what is called the kleshas, we act and react in terms of survival, and this will create and is creating and will continue to create endless conflicts out of competition for survival. So my only conclusion is that as we proceed in our search for understanding and realization and yoga, or maybe only a responsibility is to give all our strength and our passion to realize the truth that I tried to express with this paradigm of the Far East. It is true in Taoism, it is true in yoga, it is true in, of course, Vedanta, it is true in Sankhya. It is true also in the Middle East with the mystics in Persia and in Turkey and in Spain, Ibn Arabi and so on, that there is no separation. Fundamentally, we are all made of the same not stuff. We are made of the same spiritual reality. And it is only then, if we realize this, that our influence on the world will be adequate, even if today, to me, it seems very difficult to believe that it can still change the course that humanity has taken. This course has been taken long ago. According to me, but it's my understanding and it is limited, we started with as a very fragile species in a very difficult world. And we have learned very early to fight to survive, to fight to have the power of others and so on. So this is very deeply rooted in our psyche. The psyche of each one of us is the psyche of humanity since its beginnings. And it is difficult to leave the flow of human psyche that started so long ago to discover a new way of feeling, understanding, and being. When you see the story of mankind, in all places, all over the world, very few people have done the job, if I can say like that. But these individuals have had a tremendous effect on the rest of mankind, with the sad constatation that the depth and the beauty of their teachings have been misunderstood. All religions have become one of the factors of war. Even religions like Buddhism, that were more or less devoid of this tendency, now, as all the other religions in some parts of the world, Buddhism has become a pretext for war, like all other religions. And therefore, the original message of the people, wherever they were, about the real condition of human beings and the need to go in the direction of sharing, helping, being humble and loving, has been not lost, but perverted. I think I've said most of the things I wanted to share with you. Maybe it's not very clear, my way of doing, so please ask questions and I will try to be more clear. Do you have any questions, Joanna? Have you received any questions? Not yet.
Not so far.
Not so far.
But actually, I have one. If I can.
Okay. Yes.
Do you think the concept of Dharma is connected with social responsibility in yoga? Do you think we can make a link?
Yes, of course. The Purusharthas, the aims of human life, according to not so much yoga, but Brahmanic view, is that all human beings are partly responsible for the order of the society in which they live. That means they have to contribute. That is the social meaning of Dharma, to take part of the life of the city. So, as yoga practitioners and as yoga teachers, we have a responsibility. But again, look, we are very lucky to live in democratic countries compared to people who live in dictatorships or other forms of government where the citizen has no say on what happens. However, when you look, at least in France, I don't know in your countries, how people vote, what are the reasons of their choice, it is quite a reason to despair with regard to democracy. Because the quality of education today is not to create human beings that are both intelligent and sensitive. The education is to make people efficacious in the financial and economic realms, because that is the main interest of most people. And all the people who are not able to go in that direction, they are condemned to the same fate as in Rome, the people who were given bread and games so that they kept quiet. They didn't revolt. So we as yoga teachers have a responsibility in education, because teaching yoga is a form of education. But most people are not educated through yoga. So I don't see in democracy much more hope than in other types of government with regard to the possibility for humanity to change in spite of the urgency. Hello, Marina. So have you any questions?
Marina, I think Marina is talking, but
Yes.
she has his micro.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
I agree entirely with whatever you've said now about democracy, but I don't think democracy exists anymore. I think there is really no freedom in the democracies as they are right now. But I'm really concerned with what is happening all over the world for wars and things like that. And I was just, apart from the fact that we can, in a way, make the revolution in our own hearts, which is the important thing to do. But this is what we can do now. It's all we can do now. What can we do about what is happening? And I mean, it looks to me that it's what Patanjali says, we can only prevent suffering to come. But what can we do right now? Concretely, what can we do right now? I'm really concerned about this. Which is my role right now? What can I do about what is happening?
To me, it's not to play the game of cutting oneself from what is happening because it is too painful or too difficult, or with the idea that medias are not giving the right information. We have to keep informed and let ourselves be deeply moved by what is happening. Accept the suffering that comes from our incapacity to act or impossibility to act, because this will help each one of us to change. But that doesn't mean that it will change the state of affairs of the humanity. It's just, again, something that concerns individuals, but will not, according to me, affect a change in the general humanity.
But we could think that, you know, if we follow what you've just said, and if if we partake of the same spirit, the moment we sort of act the way you say within ourselves, maybe something can have an effect on all the rest of humanity, of the rest of the world, because we are of the same substance, we are of the same spirit. One could think at a subtle level something could happen like that.
Yes, the snowball effect. But as I said earlier, the number of people who don't feel like this, who are not open to that, compared to the people all over the world, whether it is in yoga or different in religions and so on, have the same understanding and sensitivity, the balance is not equal. But who knows? No. Nobody can say. I can only share my point of view, which could be understood as pessimistic. I don't think, in my case, I don't feel at all unhappy with the vision I have about the negativity of the situation. Because I think humanity, the story of humans is a very little speck in the totality of the universe. We are the one that have transformed Eden into hell. We are the one that have transformed a beautiful, lovely, extraordinary place to live in concrete cities where everyone suffocates because of gas, of the exhausting gas of the cars and so on. We are the one that have created this world, each one of us. I said I was in Brussels 2 weekends ago and in Brittany last weekend. That means to move. To move means to create pollution, whichever way you travel, unless you travel by foot or by bicycle, which on long distances is not possible in short time. So it's just a constatation that we have to be prepared for the worst, but maybe the worst will not come. And what is it to be prepared for the worst? Is to remember that this structure, body-mind, will die anyhow. And if there is something that is not concerned with death, we have to find it before dying if possible, because we don't know if we can find it after death, unless we believe in transmigration, which is a way of postponing. There is an urgency to find it now, before we die. And I am close to death because of my age. I have been very lucky to live until now, but maybe tomorrow I will be dead. So each one of us has to realize that there is nothing more important in life now than to discover whom we are really, and whether it is true that our self is indestructible, and that beauty, love, understanding, and truth are our real nature. And therefore, maybe practice asanas if you like, and pranayama if you like, and dhyana if you like. Very good. But it's not this way. It's too slow. We have to really ponder deeply whom we are and find out. This is the only thing that I think we can do as students of yoga. Whether it will change the state of the world or not, who knows? I don't know. Any other question or remark or disagreement?
Yes, Francois, we have a question on the box.
On the box.
It's in French. I can read it like it is, I think. And then, peut-être peut on dire que le yogi est un insoumis?
Un insoumis.
An insoumis. You can check the box or not.
What is the box? What do you call the
maybe
box?
It's a directly question. Insoumis. Si oui, à quoi est-il insoumis?
Ah, voilà, j'ai la question. I got the question. Merci de traduire. Peut-on dire que le yogi est un insoumis? Si oui, à quoi est-il insoumis? So I to translate it in English, can we say that the yogi is somebody like a revolutionary, not somebody that accepts things? Because I don't know how to translate insoumis in English.
Maybe a rebel. I don't know if the right word.
A what?
A rebel.
A rebel, yes, right. Yes, kind of. And if he's a rebel, in which ways he is a rebel? Well, the first rebellion to me, it seems, is to ask oneself whether it is possible that life and consciousness comes from matter, whether something inert, chemical, electrical, can evolve to the point of becoming life first and consciousness then, after a long time of evolution. That is the first rebellion, because here in the West, it is the problem of most people that they have accepted this idea, or they believe in something religious. Belief has no value, according to me, because belief is just a way of reassuring oneself without having the means to check whether it is true or not. So I don't believe in myself. I see myself. I see myself in my limitations, in my identifications, and I see that there is in myself something that sees. And that is the beginning of realization. I am not that which I see. I am that which is seeing. As Patanjali says, I am the drashtuhu, the one who sees, not the seen. The seen is part of me in the sense that I see it, but fundamentally I am that which I see. I see that there is a hand raised, Anne. Maybe she has a question. Hello. So you have to put your mic.
Okay, là ça devrait marcher. Do you hear me?
Works.
Okay, fine. Thank you. My question is about, I hear you, what I hear is you are urging us to question who we are, right? And to indeed push ourselves as far as we can into that question to get into that realization that you talk about. Now, because we live in this world and we are part of it, and it is a question of tonight.
Is it a question of what?
Tonight. The question of tonight. The question we are asking.
Tonight,
what and how do we contribute, and
to social
the time that we allocate to that question to ourselves is limited, right? We don't go into a grotto and ask that question to ourselves every 24 hours. So what would you recommend? What would be the good pace? Like, should it be every morning, every evening? Should it be, how would you suggest us with your experience? Because
going into seclusion or in a grotto, as you say, I don't think will change anything. And it is not a question of giving some time to this question. It is question of being aware as much as possible during daily life in our relationship with the closest people, how easily we get into conflict with others, and why do we get into conflicts with others. If conflict starts so easily within each one of us in a relationship, we can understand why there are wars all over the world, because it's only a broad image of what is happening within each one of us. So the listening and watching the way we speak, the way we think, the way we interact, the way we relate. Like, for instance, on the door of the supermarket in the town where I live, there is a man with a dog asking for alms. When I see that man, at times I am moved and I give him something. My wife, each time she gives something, but not because she's moved by the man, she's moved because of the dog. Because she's very sensitive to animals. But I am not so sensitive to animals because I think human beings are animals too, and they merit the same care as the animals do. So to watch these things that happen in each one of us, to become aware of it, is very essential. It is the knowing of oneself on the level of our limitations. But at the same time, whether it is during one of these occasions or any time of the day, just to stop a moment inwardly and say, but whom am I? Am I the one who is talking to Anne now, trying to speak in English with difficulty sometimes? Or am I that silent, invisible space that is listening, seeing, watching, which is the nature of consciousness? The moment there is this little stop, then there is kind of disengagement with regard the conditioning of the structure of the human being made of memory and, as I said, a river, a psychic river that has started in the beginning of the human species and is still going on in each one of us. And then this movement going inner change the situation. Then the relationship becomes different with the person with whom you are. And the conditions that create animosity, war, and so on, for the moment stop. They will come back. So you have to again make this gesture inner to see, but am I that which I see, or am I that which sees? And if I ask this question, I come to the realization I am that which sees, and that which sees is beauty, intelligence, truth, generosity, and love. I hope this answers your question, but words, words, words. You can say that, huh? Words, words, words. Yeah. The problem is we have to put it into action. Any other question? Or thinking is a process of separation. Thinking is necessary to function in the world. We have, through thinking, created unnecessary things like deadly weapons, complicated systems of communication that are supposed to keep us informed faster. But this thinking process is also responsible for wars, because thinking is a process of putting memory into action, and memory in human beings is not only technical, it is mostly emotional. The memory of past wrongs done to us, past sufferings, and therefore we react with these memories instead of being able in the present moment just to see. Seeing is devoid of conditioning. Thinking is only conditioning. To speak a language, you need the conditioning of this language. But to relate to others, the moment you relate from your own conditioning, I am a Christian, you are a Jew, she is a Muslim, he is a Sikh, and so on, it is finished. We lose sight that he, she, we are the same human beings, and the unconditioned part of the human being is the only one that is able not to create conflict. So this is the urgency for me to realize this. Hello, Iris, how are you? Any other remark, questions?
Yes. May I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Yes. So, I mean, the title, Yoga and Social Responsibility, and you said it is very important to know and to contribute, but at the end, what I hear now is that it all comes down to self-reflection.
Self-protection.
Self-reflection and
Reflection, yes.
Yes. And
self-realization.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So not necessarily going out and being the rebel and going in conflict and going in discussion and going on protest, but just trusting that in the way that you start to realize yourself more and more by interrogating your own actions and thinking, that you get nearer to spreading out the spirit of yoga, like this snowball thing. And
well, it depends on your strength and your capacity to go and participate in the life of the city without creating more conflict. If you are able to relate to others with the spirit of open mind and open heart, and you don't react to the stupidity sometimes that other people think or say, then you contribute to change the situation of the city, because you are not adding one more cause of conflict. Like, for instance, if you are vegetarian and you insist that people should be vegetarian, you create conflict. If you practice yoga and you insist on saying yoga is the best thing in the world, you create conflict, and so on. So you have to be, you have to understand that what is most important in a relationship is to be like the water. In a stream, when there is a rock in the middle of the stream, the water does not try to break the rock. It couldn't. It just moves on sides of the rock and continues its path. So in the same way, each one of us can be like the water. That means not to create conflicts when there is a rock. Somebody who believes that it is normal to kill because the other is wrong, because he has done a lot of mischief, so he has to be punished, and so on. But you flow with life in the sense you don't resist, you don't react, you listen, and you are at peace with yourself. This may, I don't say it will, in all cases, it may affect the other and change his way of doing or his way of behaving, maybe. But at least you are in peace with yourself and in agreement with your values. with what you are deep down. So it doesn't prevent from social action. If you are a doctor, or if you are a nurse, or if you are a social worker, but the question is, do you act with preconceived ideas about what should be done and what should be said? Or you act only with your knowledge about medicine or about nursing or about social work, and staying with a listening, open heart and mind? That makes the difference, it seems to me.
There is something that I wish to ask. Hello, everyone. Hugs to Francois. We miss you. There is a question regarding the influences that are, you just mentioned the water that passes just with itself, can meet a rock, can meet another obstacle, and just flow continuously. But there are some remarks that are the water is getting from the rock, and there are some influences of the water on the rocks. And for instance, this period of my life is something that I can say that is one of the most significant that I can feel, and I can hardly bear it. And as much as I try to flow, as you mentioned, there is like an inner need to contribute to the others, but still the water like slows down. And I think that once we are in this condition, we try, and you said not conditioning, and you said without breath thoughts. So it's kind of hard job to fulfill.
Yes, it is a hard job unless you have realized the unity of all beings and all things, and you accept that the game is out of control. I mean, we as human beings, we are not the creators of the game, and we don't even understand the game. So to flow is to accept the game as it appears to us, and to accept the reactions it creates in us, and not try to flow if we don't flow. If we don't flow, if we resist, knowing that that creates more whirlpools, more conflicts, more wars. But we have no choice. We cannot pretend to be different than what we are. So the beginning of wisdom is to accept that we are as we are, and to flow with what we are, which can be at times very violent, very aggressive, very reactive. It's only a lesson that we have to learn in life, that we have to go through before we can really flow peacefully with the flow of the game in which we found ourselves, but on which we have no control. Marina said earlier that Patanjali says that the suffering to come is the only one that we can avoid. But the suffering to come will not be avoided. It's not the suffering of wars, of conflicts, interrelationships, and so on. It is the suffering of not seeing that we are that which sees, and not and we are not that which is seen. The body is seen, the thoughts are seen, the sensations are seen, the emotions are seen, the perceptions are seen, but that which sees, we forget that this is what we are. And unless we discover it concretely, we have no other choice than to be as we are, as a limited human beings, limited through its conditioning, and we have to surf on the wave of life according to our capacities and conditioning. Which does not prevent us from trying to reach the ultimate realization. But there is nothing worse than to pretend to be other than what we are and to act according to a model, whichever beautiful it is, instead of listening what is rising within us as an answer to the situation in which we are. I don't know if this answers your question or remark, Iris, but maybe I have misunderstood your question.
Francois, we have another question on the box.
Yes.
The Earth is hot in terms of Celsius degrees. Is this the same process that if the Earth is hot because of the arms?
Because of the weapons.
The weapons.
Because of the wars, yes. Well, of course, it is the same process, because the increase of the temperature is due to human activity, at least in part, and the wars create the pollution and increase of the factors that raise the Celsius degree on our Earth. So it is human folly. Both. For both processes, they're human disease. We are mad people, no? You put somebody, at least in France, there is no death punition, but somebody has killed his three daughters, he will be put into jail. The same chap, if he goes into war against the enemy of the country, will have a medal. It is madness. We don't react the same way if somebody kills his own children for some reason, and if he kills in the name of the country. In both cases, it is killing. There is no good reason to kill. Or maybe you know some good reason to kill. If I want to kill myself, you should not prevent me. The freedom of each human being is to decide whether he wants to live or not. But I have no right to kill anyone, nor do you have. It's different. Let us imagine that one of you have a weapon that can kill me through the screen. Then, if I see that you are going to use that weapon, I can use my own weapon to kill you because I am in a process of self-defense. So the only situation maybe where you are if there is no other solution, if I cannot escape, well, of course, what I will do, I will shut my screen so you cannot kill me. It is better to try to escape than to fight. Because in fighting, there are two victims, the one who is killed and the one who kills. They share the same fate. Absurdity, folly, madness, stupidity.
I believe,
Sorry, yes?
Sorry, I believe Marina wants to say something.
Marina, yes.
You have to unmute.
I was just thinking that you were saying before we can keep on doing asana and pranayama just with a little bit of a disdain.
A little bit of what?
A
Sorry.
little bit of, you were looking them up as if they were just little tools. I had the feeling that when you're talking about asana and pranayama, and I was just thinking that probably it depends also on the way we teach asana and pranayama. But you were mentioning before the feeling of being separate. And I think asana and pranayama can be a way of restoring unity, or at least of feeling that you're not separate, that something can be, the unity can be reestablished within yourself. And in that case, I think it's important, the work we do in teaching asana and pranayama.
I do not disagree and I do not agree. I do not disagree because it is true that helping someone to become more linked to its feelings, its bodily sensations, its breath, creates a momentary sense of well-being, unity, harmony with the surroundings, but it is not enough to undo the story of conditioning that each one of us carry. And it will come maybe to act upon it, but it will take years of daily practice before the depth of the conditioning that we all carry since the beginning of mankind will be weakened enough to change the thinking process, the behavior, and the feelings of that person. And we don't have any more the time. I mean, humanity has no more the time to go through such slow process, because time is becoming faster and faster. The tools that human beings are creating every second now are more and more powerful, and the process of changing through asana and pranayama is a very slow one. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that.
You think it's your students change immediately?
I think it's a very powerful mean.
I don't say it is not powerful, but I say it is very slow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Well, going back to that, I think anguish very often comes from a feeling of being separate. And
Yes.
And I think sometime during a practice of asana or pranayama, you can have you can accept the feeling of being separate. And the moment you accept it, something changes. You accept the feeling of separate, of being separate. And something, the moment you accept it, something changes. And as I don't say that does reestablish the unity right away, but it goes more into that direction.
Sure. This happens sometimes to some people through this practice of asana and pranayama, and that's a very good thing. But it happens also sometimes that the feeling of separatedness or lack of the lack of sense of the unity of all things occurs at a moment of one's life when we are in deep sorrow or deep difficulty. It also happens like that. It happens in many ways. The question is, does it last? The advantage of asana and pranayama, if you are regular in the practice, is that it doesn't last for long, but it can happen again and again and again. And after some time, it becomes more and more rooted.
Yeah.
But it takes time. Again, I say it's a slow process.
Yeah.
And why not? Except that the theme is social responsibility. As yoga teachers, can we expect that what we propose in terms of practice, knowing it is a slow process, will help humanity to come out of the hell in which it has put itself by itself. There is no God or power that creates the mess that human beings are creating themselves. There is no hell outside our lives and no paradise outside our life. We make the hell or we make the paradise with our behavior and our way of thinking and our way of behaving. So as yoga teachers, we have to find more immediate or powerful means to help people to realize that separation is fictitious. Egocentric personality is a virtual necessity in life, but it has no value. It is not the truth. That we are fundamentally that which sees, drashtuhu, as says Patanjali, that which sees. The moment we see that we are that which sees, the flow of the stream can flow freely. The flow of the stream of life can flow freely. Otherwise, it doesn't flow freely because it is all the time hindered by the conditioning of the personality. Well, that was interesting. I am running out of time. Thank you again, and until next time. Okay, that's not a question. Yes, we are mad. Yes, Han, yes, we are mad. We are all mad, more or less. And I hope for you that you will be less mad than most people. As for me, I know the question is over. I am mad. Why not? Life is mad. The power that is playing game, creating this mess is mad. And maybe madness is the fate of eventually all people, but it's a bit difficult to accept. We would like a very sane world with very sane people, everything well ordered. But whoever has gone to India knows that you can live in total madness as well, in total disorganization, and life continues. So let us continue with madness.
I'm just thinking about the madness.
Your madness.
There
What
is
is your
another
madness?
thing that
Yes.
thinking about really something is changed. I think most of my friends that are teaching as well, and mainly with therapists, we are, like you said, there it takes time through asanas and it's like too long. And if we want to get to the point, like we say the point, but if we are, so we are like skipping things, but putting much more depth into other things which are evoking for people. And by this, they are obliged or forced in some way to look better, or to have
What do you mean by
more
evoking?
clear.
What do you mean by evoking?
It's like
Concretely,
in one, yeah. For example, if someone is coming, of course, without specific pathology, yeah, and we are just making him turn on the light on himself. I mean, and all the rest of I mean, it sounds weird to say it here, but all the other steps are just missing before. But this is the way. It's like a direct flight, instead of going from one spot to another spot in order to get to the final destination. So it's like a direct flight. And it looks, lately, I feel that it makes people more aware. And this is how I look at the last thing that you were just mentioned to Marina. It is something that is seen, maybe because of reality also makes us like this. So we are just reflecting it through the patients.
Right. This is for me the most fundamental teaching in the Yoga Sutra, which is called Kriya Yoga, Akra, which is in three parts: Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhana. The first part is not so important. It is a kind of help to develop more strength and more energy, fire, more passion in the search for yoga. The last step is out of reach, Ishvara Pranidhana. It is the consequence of the middle one, Swadhyaya. Know thyself, know yourself. And knowing oneself is not only knowing that I am that which sees, but it is also knowing the way I behaved. Listening to the story of that young girl that was taken by the Hamas during the festivity and was raped. And the people who described her said in her room, she looks everywhere where there is no one, because every human glance is like a wound to her. So in order to be repaired, she will have to face the fact, ready to face the fact, I think. I don't know the circumstances, but it is terrible. And at the same time, as human beings, we have no other choice than to face the fact of what we are and what is happening to us. It is the only thing that is not a belief, but a reality. And we can only proceed from reality. If there is a rock in the middle of the stream, no need to believe that God will remove the rock. We have just to see that there is a rock in the middle of the stream. And then we can either pass on the sides, or we can break ourselves against the rock. But at least we are in the reality of things, not in a kind of imaginary process. So this is it seems to me the basis of any spirituality, of authentic spirituality, is to face the fact and to know the fact, to see the fact and to know the fact. And this is what they are to me, not recitation of holy texts and all this blah, blah, blah. Joanna, is it time to stop?
Yes, I was
Or not?
waiting, just seeing if there is any more question. If not, I would like
Last one,
to.
then.
I already do it, did it. So I would like to thank you.
You what? Sorry, I didn't see.
Sorry, I was saying that I already made you a question, the first one, so I don't have any more. And
Yes.
I was asking
If you want to put the last one, you are.
not I don't have any question, but I was asking if there is any more questions from anyone.
Ah.
So if not, I would like to thank you, Francois. And I also would like to let you know that there is the possibility to make a donation for these sessions. As you know, these sessions are free, but if you like to support this project, you are most welcome to do it. I would also want to remind that Francois Lorin will share his knowledge with us again on the 6th of December for French speakers. And in the 7th of December, we will have a conference on Tumo, also in French, led by Anne Lorenzo, that is here with us. I don't know if she wants to say something about it. And also by Philippe
Joarikian. Yes.
Sorry.
So yeah, I just say that indeed we will talk in French for that session, and then in January we'll have an English session about the subject as well for the English speaker ones who would like to follow that. Yes.
Thank you very much, Anne, and thank you all.
I salute every one of you. I wish you the best, and thank you for listening and putting questions. And thank you, Joanna, to have taken this task.
Thank you very much, Francois.